Welcome to the Auction Strategy Chat. Very excited about this one. You might actually call it the reserve set meeting, the conversation with the agent, the auctioneer, the vendors, the day prior to the auction, a couple of days prior to the auction. It can be a tough conversation, a big conversation. Now let's call a spade a spade. If the agent knows what they're doing, all the hard work has been done, or most of the hard work. The agents met the buyers, kept in touch with them, had weekly vendor meetings, kept in touch with their vendor on a daily basis. They've got a pretty clear understanding on how many bidders are more than likely going to show up to bid. The vendor trusts them greatly. They've been having regular meetings and they've done all in their power to ensure the vendor's priced as realistically as possible leading into the auction. Now, if the agent hasn't done all this, the reserve set meeting, aka the strategy chat, is going to be a pretty tough one. But I'm going to assume that you're an agent auctioneer or an auctioneer who partners with agents who know what they're doing. And by the way, if you think that your clients or you or your team need some assistance with campaign management, I highly recommend that you explore Auction Campaign Masterclass, designed to attract more bidders, sell for high prices, increase clearance rates, shorten days on market. But let's jump back to Auctioneer Masterclass, the strategy chat. Emotions can be high. Vendors are often overpriced. And there's 3 ways that you can stuff up this meeting in no particular order of relevance. Number 1, shy away from the meeting and not have it at all. Number 2, skim over the surface and not go deep. Avoid conflict. And number 3, go too hard and too strong. Go too hard and too strong. Challenge the owner's reserve straight off the back, thinking that that's what you need to go and do. So in the strategy chat, I'm going to break down what I've been doing over the years. I've created some method behind my madness, some systems and structure behind what I do in the reserve meeting, the strategy chat, so I can unwrap that, share it with you, and so you can facilitate this meeting in the shortest space of time with the largest cut through. Now here's the thing. A lot of the hard work during the campaign should have already been done. It's Friday afternoon, auction's tomorrow, and I'd hate for you to stumble at the finish line just before the baton in the 4x100 meter relay is passed to the 4th runner. I'd hate for you to stumble. You know, it reminds me of Brazil, the soccer team, in the World Cup in 2014. Brazil hosted the World Cup in 2014. They made it out of their group stage quite comfortably. They won the round of 16. They won the quarterfinals and they rolled into the semi-finals on home soil. The World Cup favourites, Brazil. In the semi-finals, they were facing Germany. Now, the whole country was basically celebrating before they'd even started playing the semi-final. They still needed to win that, then make it to the final, then win the final. But the whole country was basically acting as if the cup was already theirs. Now, what happened? After 29 minutes in the first half, Brazil were losing 5-0 on home soil, the World Cup favourites. The match ended 7-1 and they were knocked out and Germany went through. Why? Because Brazil became complacent. And I would hate for you and your partner agents to become complacent because the hard work has been done. The agent has fought like heck to win the listing. You've done all in your power to methodically convert open inspection attendees into potential active bidders at auction. Your vendor communication has been on point. But all of a sudden, if you don't run the auction strategy meeting with structure, and if you don't have the tools and confidence to delve deep with the vendor's emotions and throw them challenging hypotheticals when it comes to their reserve price, if you don't have the tools and confidence to go ahead and do that, you too can stumble at the final hurdle. Let's take a look at the Auctioneer Masterclass signature system so that we can put this meeting into perspective. Now, here it is right here, and we're working in what I call the positioning piece, the critical touch points for you as the auctioneer before you actually call for the opening bid. Positioning the vendor, positioning the buyers, positioning your team to set the platform and the stage for calling for the opening bid. And here we are in the auction strategy chat. Now, what a lot of agents do in this situation is they shoot from the hip, rely on luck, have no systems and structure, and quite frankly, the agent, the auctioneer, the vendors, they're standing around bewildered and confused because nobody knows where they stand. Nobody knows exactly where the vendor is at with their price. Nobody actually knows the absolute minimum that the vendor may consider taking to avoid the pain of potentially taking less in the future. What do I mean by that, potentially taking less in the future? Let me touch on that. If for some reason you don't do all in your power to chip backwards, due south, and dig deep for the vendor to reveal their absolute lowest potential price that they might take on auction, if you don't do all in your power to do that, say for example the vendor's reserve is $1 million and they refuse to shift and you haven't facilitated the strategy chat very well, and say for example a $950,000 highest bid pops up at auction with competition and they reject that, and then 3 weeks later, out of desperation, because they need to move into their new home, they take $900,000 subject to finance. Who's to blame for that? If you didn't run the strategy chat effectively, you're the one. That's right. You're the one to blame for that $50,000 loss. It's pretty aggressive, me. I've leaned in, I'm looking you right in the eyes, and I'm pointing at you. I want you to feel the pain right now of the future. It doesn't feel good, does it? I want you to feel it now to avoid you feeling it in real life, to avoid your vendors feeling this in the real world. So here we are with the auction strategy chat. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's get to work.